Hello there kids, today you are going to learn how to solve for the shaded part. So solving for the shaded part, how do we solve for the shaded part? So there are two things that you need to be familiar with first, okay? So when solving for the area of the shaded part, always identify the first bigger area and of course the smaller area. Okay. So the bigger area actually refers to the original figure that is already there, while the smaller area refers to the figure inside or drawn on the original figure. So which basically means no, this actually works for any shape. Okay? Pero since basic lang naman tayo, you will be working with most likely rectangles, squares, and triangles. You just need to follow the information given, that you need to be familiar with the bigger area and the smaller area. In other words, you should be able to identify which shape is the bigger area, which shape is the smaller area. Okay? So for example, let's say you have circle. Okay, it's hard to draw with the mouse, so pasensya. And let's say you have a square inside. So the area that is not, it doesn't show like a square, pero it should be a square because it's a circle, diba? So anyway, kasi nga mahirap mag-draw. What I'm trying to say here is that the area that is not occupied by the square inside the circle will cover the shaded part. Okay? This will now cover the shaded part. So if you notice, the bigger area is obviously the circle. And the smaller area, okay, icon ko lang bigger area to. Or we will note this as a small b. Okay? So yan ang kuha natin sa bigger area, a small b. And of course, obviously the square refers to the smaller area. Or a small s. Okay. So, ganyan dapat ang pag-identify. As long as you'll be able to know which figure is the bigger area, which figure is the smaller area, that's step 1, no? So, this will basically help you how to solve for the shaded part. Okay. So, another example, what if you have a rectangle and inside your rectangle you have a triangle? Okay. And of course, the area that is not being occupied by the triangle inside the rectangle is of course the shaded part. Okay, pasensya because yun na nga, it's hard to do this with a mouse. Okay. So obviously, the rectangle here is our bigger area, or a small b. And the triangle here is our smaller area, or a small s. Now the question here is, how do we solve for the shaded part? Paano nga ba tayo nagsosolve for the shaded part? Okay, this is how you solve for the shaded part. Shaded part or we can note this as area small sp, noting as area of shaded part, is actually equivalent to the area of the bigger figure minus the area of the smaller figure. So medyo madali, medyo basic lang. One should be able to know or learn how to identify the bigger or smaller area. Okay? So, area of the shaded part, or A small sp, is equivalent to area of the bigger figure, or the bigger area, and basically the smaller area minus the smaller area. Okay? So, ganyan ang pag-solve natin. This is the equation that you're going to make use of. So, technically, rewriting it, that's area of the shaded part is equivalent to area of the bigger area minus the smaller area. So, which means you just need to be familiar on how to solve for the area of that certain figure. Okay? So, ito ang formula natin. Okay, so let's try to apply it. So number 8, a triangle is seen in a rectangle below. Solve for the area of the shaded part. So if you notice, you have a rectangle, sorry. So obviously your area of the bigger area here is your rectangle. Technically the area of the rectangle. How do you solve for the area of a rectangle? That's just length times width. All you need to do now is just to identify the length and width. And your smaller area here, that is obviously your triangle. As for your shaded part is this one. Now, for your smaller area, which is the area of the triangle, how do you solve for it? It's base times height over 2. Diba? So, ang kailangan nyo na lang ngayon dito is to find out what is your height, the height of the rectangle, and of course, the base of the triangle. Basically, I'm supposed to say triangle kanina, no? The height of the triangle, which is in this case kasi is the same as the height of the rectangle. And of course, all you need to do now is to look or to solve for the base of the triangle. Given the information, you know that from point to point, it measures 35 centimeters and part of it measures 5. So what could be the measurement for the base? No? Then from there, you'll be able to solve for, first, solve nyo muna yung area ng rectangle. Then, solve for the area of the triangle. Then from there, once you already have them, you'll be able to solve for your shaded part na. In which basically it refers to area, a bigger area minus the smaller area. And your bigger area refers to the area of your rectangle, and the smaller area refers to the area of the triangle. So, try natin ulit. Next, number 9. So, ina-assist ko lang muna kayo dito. A triangle is seen inside the rectangle below. If the length of the rectangle is thrice the measurement of the rectangle's width, solve for the area of the shaded part. Okay, anong ibig sabihin nun? If the length of the rectangle is thrice means 3 times. Okay, that's what you mean by thrice. Ibig sabihin, from this point to this point, there are actually 3 units compared to this one. Okay? So, which means, thrice siya, ibig sabihin, this is 15, 15, 15. Okay? Well assisted na kayo, ha? So, what you do now is solve for the area of the shaded part. So, from here, all you need to do again is to solve for the area of the bigger figure. Or in this case is, of course, obviously, the area of the rectangle. While the area of the smaller figure here is obviously the area of the triangle. So, yun lang. Ang kailangan nyo na lang gawin dito ngayon is to identify the base and height of the triangle. Baymax is crying. Ayun. Okay, so yun na lang ang gagawin ninyo ngayon. All you need to do is to find out ano yung base ng triangle. Yung height, medyo obvious na. It's already given. Okay, So for number 10, 4 similar triangles can be seen inside the rectangle below. Solve for the area of the shaded part. Okay, so we can see 4 similar triangles shading the length of the rectangle. You have one base here, another base here, another base here, another base here. So, this is actually, baka ma-confuse kayo, no? So, again, obviously, you have the bigger area here, which is the area of the rectangle. Now, you also have the smaller area here, which is obviously the area of the triangle. Pero, if you notice that there are 4 similar triangles dito, which means yung area nyo dito of the smaller figure, you should multiply it by 4. Once you'll be able to get one area of the triangle. Okay, so what am I trying to tell you? In a better illustration, in other words, what you're trying to do here is the area of the shaded part. To solve for this, you need first, of course, the area of the rectangle. But then, since you have 4 similar triangles here, which means you need to subtract the sum of all 4, the area of all 4 similar triangles. In other words, you need the area of one triangle plus the area of the other triangle. Kasi nga, similar lang sila, di ba? Plus the area of the other triangle. And of course, finally, the area of the final triangle kasi nga there are only 4. Okay. So, ang kailangan nyo muna gawin dito is to add all this 4 muna. And once you'll be able to get that, all you need to do now is to subtract the answer from the area of the rectangle. And from there, I'll just write total here. Okay, total. And from there, you'll have your area of the shaded part. Okay, so that's basically it. I hope that this illustration is able to help you on how to solve for these 3 items.